If you were sitting high above Arthur Ashe Stadium on Tuesday night, August 25, 2026, and closed your eyes for just a moment, you would have heard something before you even knew where to look. A chant rising through more than 23,000 seats, cutting through the familiar sounds of a Grand Slam crowd. Laban, Alex. Laban, Alex. In Tagalog, it means, fight, Alex. The voices were coming from a section filled with Filipino fans, waving red, white, and blue, with the yellow sun of the Philippine flag standing out in the crowd. And at the center of it all was 21-year-old Alex Eala, now ranked numero 18 in the world, stepping onto Arthur Ashe Stadium for the very first time. Eala has already said how happy she is to see tennis growing across Southeast Asia, but on this night, she was seeing that growth in front of her own eyes. Filipino fans didn't need to fill the entire stadium. They didn't have to. They simply needed to be heard. And they were. Cameras kept turning toward them. Broadcasters kept mentioning the atmosphere. And somewhere in the middle of all that noise, a young woman who has spent a year rewriting the history of Philippine tennis was discovering exactly what her name sounds like inside the biggest tennis stadium in the world. Eala arrived in New York just 2 days earlier, ranked numero 18, the highest position of her career. That ranking had come only 3 weeks after she made history by becoming the first Filipino player to win a WTA Tour singles title. This US Open was supposed to be another major step forward. First, her Arthur Ashe debut in the reformatted US Open Mixed Doubles Championship alongside Canadian world numero 4 Felix Auger-Aliassime. Then, later in the week, her singles campaign. And this time, everything was different. She wasn't arriving as the wide-eyed qualifier from 2025. She was entering the singles draw as the numero 17 seed, the highest Grand Slam seeding of her career. 2 debuts in 1 week. One nation watching every point. But what happened Tuesday night wasn't a championship celebration. It wasn't a victory parade. In fact, if you looked only at the scoreboard, it was a loss. Yet somehow, the scoreboard missed the biggest part of the story. Eala and Auger-Aliassime lost their first-round mixed doubles match to Ukraine's Elina Svitolina and France's Gaël Monfils, 4-1, 4-1, under the short-set format used at the US Open. The match lasted only 42 minutes. Svitolina and Monfils were the favorites, and they looked comfortable playing together. One was a top 15 singles player, the other a former top 5 player, and both had years of Grand Slam experience behind them. Their victory wasn't surprising. Eala's loss wasn't embarrassing. But that wasn't what people were talking about after the match. The Filipino fans kept cheering. They didn't treat the result like the end of the night. There were no quiet exits. No disappearing into the streets of New York. Instead, the noise continued. They kept supporting Eala with the kind of energy a crowd gives when it has decided that the player represents something much bigger than the final score. That was the real story inside Arthur Ashe. Because to understand why that moment mattered, you have to understand everything Eala had accomplished in the 22 days before she walked onto that court. On August 3, at the Mubadala DC Open in Washington, D.C., Eala defeated world numero 3 Jessica Pegula in the final, 4-6, 6-4, 6-0. She closed out the championship match with a bagel against a top 3 player on a hard court. And she didn't simply arrive in the final. To get there, she had already defeated Naomi Osaka in the semi-finals and Leylah Fernandez in the quarter-finals, where she battled back after falling behind 5-1 pulgada the second set. When Eala lifted that trophy in Washington, she became the first Filipino player, man or woman, singles or doubles, at any level, to win a WTA Tour singles title. Then came the ranking. Eala moved from numero 20 to numero 18 in the world, earning the highest ranking of her career and confirming her place inside the WTA's top 20. That was the number she carried into New York. And suddenly, the expectations were completely different. Used 1 year earlier, when Eala first arrived at Flushing Meadows, she was ranked numero 75 in the world. She was still trying to prove that she belonged on the main professional tour. Then she won her first round match against Denmark's Clara Tauson, a top 15 player at the time. That victory made Eala the first player representing the Philippines to win a Grand Slam singles main draw match in the Open era. She eventually lost in the second round. Back home, that achievement was celebrated like a national holiday. But look at how quickly things have changed. According to the source material, ESPN tennis reporter Rob Longodongyapon wrote on August 24 that if Eala simply repeats last year's second-round finish at the 2026 USA Open, the result could now be viewed as a disappointment. Think about that. 12 months ago, reaching the second round was historic. Now, reaching the second round may not be enough. Eala raised the expectations herself. Her career high número 18 ranking did it. Her WTA title did it. Her victory over the world's número 3 player did it. Her Wimbledon run did it. And her número 17 seeding at the US Open made it official. At Wimbledon earlier this summer, Eala carried a career-best Grand Slam seeding of número 29. She went on to reach the fourth round and defeated defending champion Iga Swiatek along the way. In the span of 1 year, Alex Eala stopped being only a story about Philippine tennis. She became a story about the WTA Tour. But there's an even deeper layer to all of this. Every one of Eala's breakthroughs carries enormous significance for a country that historically has not had a major presence at the highest levels of tennis. The Philippines has long been known for its passion for basketball, boxing, and volleyball. Tennis has never had the same place in the country's sporting culture. Now that's changing. When Eala's name appears on a scoreboard, the Philippine flag isn't simply being added to an existing tennis tradition. It's helping create one. And then there was a small detail from Tuesday that might seem insignificant to everyone else. But to Filipino fans, it meant something. Hours before her mixed doubles match, Eala practiced on Arthur Ashe Stadium wearing Filipino rubber slippers. The source material describes them as the kind of simple footwear commonly found around Filipino homes, stores, porches, and family gatherings. No elaborate fashion statement. No major promotional campaign. Used to Eala being Eala. She walked onto one of the most famous tennis courts in the world wearing something that felt completely ordinary back home. Later, she signed autographs for fans with the same relaxed, approachable attitude that has become part of her public image. And look at the company surrounding her in this mixed doubles event. The field included the top-seeded team of world número 1 Aryna Sabalenka and 24-time Grand Slam champion Novak Djokovic. It also included a wildcard pairing featuring Serena Williams and world número 3 Carlos Alcaraz. Eala was sharing the same tournament environment with some of the biggest names tennis has ever produced. Yet she still walked onto the court in simple slippers. That image says something powerful. The fans weren't only cheering for the player. They were cheering for the way she represents them. She doesn't have to make a speech every time she steps onto a court. She doesn't have to constantly remind people where she comes from. The Philippine flags in the stands do that for her. And the best way to understand where Eala stands right now comes back to that ESPN report published one day before her Arthur Ashe debut. The idea was simple: Eala now has confidence based on results, not just potential. She's no longer hoping to break into the upper tier of the WTA. She's already there. Now comes the harder part. She has to turn those breakthroughs into a habit. That's a very different challenge. A fairy tale run happens once. A breakthrough happens once. But becoming an elite player means doing it again and again. Eala appears to understand that herself. Before the tournament, when she was asked what round she wanted to reach at the US Open, she didn't give a specific number. She explained that she approaches tournaments match by match and round by round. No prediction. No promise. Use the next opponent. That mindset could be extremely important now that the spotlight has become so much brighter. Because the numbers are already getting interesting. According to the source material, a first-round singles win in New York would add 70 ranking points and could move Eala past Romania's Sorana Cirstea into número 17 in the world. Reaching the third round would add another 130 points. A quarter-final appearance would put her within reach of the top 15. And the US Open title, worth 2,000 ranking points, could put her knocking on the door of the top 10. None of that is guaranteed. It's simply what the numbers make possible. And every one of those milestones would represent another historic achievement for Philippine tennis. But Eala's road into New York hasn't been perfect. The 2 weeks before the US Open brought two difficult losses. On August 10, in the round of 16 at the Canadian Open in Toronto, she faced Switzerland's Belinda Bencic, who was ranked número 14 at the time. Eala lost 6-4, 6-0, ending a 7-match winning streak. 5 days later, in the third round of the Cincinnati Open, she faced American Amanda Anisimova, the world número 9. Eala won the first set and then took a 2-0 lead in the second. But Anisimova fought back, winning 12 of the next 14 games to take the match 4-6, 6-4, 6-2. Two losses. To top 15 opponents.